A very warm welcome to all of you in this session on possible opportunities in GST 2021, 22 and later. The speaker for this session is CA Madhukar N. Hiragange. Before he takes over the session, I'd like to take a moment to introduce him to you. CA Madhukar N. Hiragange is a senior partner at Hiragange and Associates, having offices in Bangalore and 13 other locations across India. He is associated with chartered accountants across the nation as a mentor. He was the chairman of the Indirect Taxes Committee of the ICAI for 4 years and led it in the crucial times of GST implementation. In addition to 18 books on central excise, service tax audit, and central sales tax, in GST, he has authored numerous books like GST Audit Handbook, A Government's Perspective, A Practical Guide to GST on Real Estate Industry, GST Audits and Certifications, GST on Textile Industry, GST Ready Reckoner, Compendium of Issues and Solutions in GST, and many more. As the managing trustee of Empower Education Foundation, for the past 15 years, he has supported the education of about 1,300 lesser privileged students. In 2014, he started his association with Hiragange Academy, a division of Empower Education Foundation, as its knowledge partner. Under his light, Hiragange Academy has served over 3,000 students and professionals to enhance their capability, mainly in indirect taxes. Thank you.
A very good morning to our professional members, especially the chartered accountants and cost accountants who have heard the proposal from the Honorable Finance Minister that there is a possibility or there is a proposal that the 9C audit in GST is going to be removed as it has not added value as per the understanding of the government. Be that as it may, in my understanding, not less than 20 to 30,000 crores has been added to this audit because there are earlier compliances which are done. The awareness exercise which chartered accountants and cost accountants did resulted in better compliance. Anyway, we are facing a possibility of 9C audit going. In my few visits in various places in India, Raipur, Indore, Bangalore, there is a thinking that the opportunity in GST is gone or almost gone. And there was a request, especially by the Indore Managing Committee of ICAI, that I could record a short session. And this is a result of that. And I would thank Hiragange Academy for hosting this for the benefit of all the professionals in India. The removal of the GST audit, does it make the future uncertain or confused as far as GST practice is concerned? Are some of the plans, some of the professionals made long-term goals of getting into GST, studying GST, attending courses, certificate courses, are those goals gone? The uncertainty and stagnation of professional opportunity with banks and the income tax practice coming down due to reduced interaction with the executive, is that making things much worse? Are we very busy doing many things but not really effective or satisfied at the end of the day? Is there an alternative scope in GST tax practice? And if so, who and what type is suited to do well? What are the supporting characteristics to build? And finally, adding points on how to be a knowledgeable person and then an expert and grow one's GST practice is something which we may all have to introspect because of this removal. Let's understand the scope for 2021 and of course later. If we look at the direct tax collections, maybe 12 lakh, maybe more also, bit more, maybe 16 lakh crores. The indirect tax collection is expected to be about 25 lakh crores. In that, 16 could be GST. You are seeing that GST collections recently have been exceeding 1 lakh crores consistently. And maybe with the economy slated to grow, we can look at much better collection there. One aspect we need to keep in mind, the coverage, is that something which is called a set-off or a tax credit in indirect taxes. In the GST itself, it could be around 40 lakh crores per year, assuming 16 lakhs is the GST collection. Because the net margin for in trading could be at most 2 or 1 to 10%, 15%. For the manufacturers, it could also be in the same range. For service providers, it could be a little higher. And in some exceptional cases, it could be very high. But the credit does count for the major part of the tax. And therefore, the verification of this 40 lakh crores is more important than the net tax, which we verify most of the time. If we were to look at what is the cost of GST in manufacturer or trading sector, the cost of GST could be 25 to 30%. It could be around 12, and the output could be 18. So you're talking of 30. Similarly, for services, where the input may be less, output still remains 18. So it could be actually about 15 to 22 or 25% also. Those professionals who would like to look at this a little deeper, I would suggest a small homework. You pick up a good balance sheet, listed company balance sheet, which is available freely on the Google. Analyze the balance sheet of that company, go into the schedules, and each of the schedules look at what is the GST impact on that particular item, whether it's an item of income, expense, capital goods. Liabilities also, because liabilities also come with a certain amount of GST attached. For example, if you take a loan, there's a loan processing charge. If you have gone for lease, the entire lease rental is liable to GST. So have a look at what all aspects of that balance sheet and profit and loss account are impacted by GST as you understand. This will give you a reality check on the vastness of the impact of GST on almost every business entity, that is. Even the exempted entities are impacted because you have the reverse charge mechanism which is applicable to them. It is also applicable on those type of activities which are not specific with that. For example, education leading to a degree is exempt, but separate courses, say for motivation, for something else, executive programs for the industry, all this could be liable. Similarly in healthcare, and similarly for religious and philanthropic activities, everything is not exempt. So one may like to look at this and get an idea of the real scope in GST practice in India. What are the common areas where there is a possibility of tax? And of course, wherever there is a possibility of tax, there is a possibility of cost control of taxes. There is tax planning of the taxes. Let's look at some of the areas just to get an idea. The classification is a very, very important aspect where misclassification can lead to destruction, especially if one is a single product company or a single service company and choose or think that a lower rate is applicable. Because when the demand comes, the demand will come for 6 years as of today or even more, thanks to the various extensions which have been given for the annual returns. So this is an area which is very important and one has to ensure that one's classification is proper. Registration at the start, right in the start, ensure that one gets all the credits, and unnecessary registration also can be avoided. For example, I am having some activity happening in different parts of India, different states of India. I possibly have to examine whether I can work in the hub and spoke model and avoid registration anywhere, or there is a need for me to be registered. Alternatively, I might like to go for an input service distributor registration, whereby I can collate all the taxes which are paid at various places. And that is something which is also provided by professional service providers. Filing of returns has become very critical. One has to ensure that the first entry which I make is valid. And therefore, there may be a maker checker, ensuring maker checker for the primary entry, and ensuring that filing of return does not stop at only one. One has to be followed by 3B, which is the filing of our returns and also paying the taxes, because all of these are now under scrutiny and fire. Non-compliance are leading to disputes, and disputes are very expensive to deal with in GST. It is also required that the reconciliation be done monthly, or if one is having the quarterly facility, quarterly. This has to be done, not at the end of the year, after 6 months of the end of the year. Remember, this law came in as a amalgam or a khichdi of the VAT law, the central excise law, the service tax law, and bit of customs and a bit of foreign laws. So it's a khichdi. Unfortunately, it has become a bitter khichdi and a confused khichdi, a complex khichdi. It is no longer a good and simple tax, and therefore, to get clarity on the way forward, one may like to get opinions, and who other than the expert. Replies to letters from department is something very important. Many of the times when the department sends a small inquiry letter asking for a laundry list of things, SSCs go and dump all that on the department, and there start their miseries. Actually, the letter in 75% of the cases is a frivolous letter, and it only needs to be replied that this letter does not have jurisdiction. Now, what is jurisdiction? I have to go through a class on understanding, assessment, etc., which I'll talk about later. One of the other areas of focus is a review and audit on behalf of the management. Now, this is a service which our firm has been doing from 1990. That is more than 30 years. There was no mandatory requirement of doing central excise audit, nor was there a mandatory requirement of doing service tax audits. But we have done this for more than 5,000-6,000 clients. And it has been a value additive exercise. That means not because there was a requirement to attest, but because it gives value. It avoids disputes. It also brings in the point that whatever benefits are available within the four corners of law is also available. And this can be in various forms, which I'll talk about a little later. There are some low-hanging apples in the foreign policy. You know that exporters need some benefit in the form of tax rebates. Goods and services can get inefficiencies of infrastructure or inefficiencies of tax. And therefore, you get a GST refund, which is supposed to add up or make good the tax of GST, the input tax credit you get as a refund. There are some, unfortunately, in the recent past, there have been some actions by Government of India to limit this. However, in due course of time, I think good sense will prevail. There is also the foreign trade policy, which gives you certain things, certain facilities to ensure that the customs duty need not be paid at the time of import of anything for export. And also, there are various schemes. Manufacturing from India scheme, MEIS, service exports from India scheme, SEIS, and recently replaced by, which is applicable for certain categories of goods. These are also areas where the benefit, which ranges up to 7% of your exports, is possible, and it is quite easy to get. One more area which has been expanding, our software industry has become, you can say, a beacon for all of us to follow. There are need for our services throughout the world, whether it is an accounting service, whether it is a verification service, whether it is an audit service. We can do the tax services for various countries in the world. Remember, if we can understand the GST law in India or the income tax in India, we can understand any VAT or GST law in the world and any income tax law in the world. And therefore, for us, it is child's play to get expertise in those areas. Once we have that expertise, can we then provide the services to the whole world? The software industry, which started, I would say, from more or less in Bangalore, from the stalwarts like Wipro and Infosys, has now grown, and it is expected to be a $300 billion. What an amazing achievement. In this, maybe tax regulatory compliance is very, very small, and it is possible for us to look at this area. And this can be provided even from tier 2 cities, need not be in tier 1 city at all. What are the types of audits we can do? Because I said that we have done 5,000 audits in our firm. And if so, what are the types of audits we can do now that regulatory or 9C audit seems to be out? Remember, it has not gone out. It may come back. And I think the government has done a very big mistake by removing it. Maybe better sense will prevail after the due representations are made by the stakeholders. ICI, the Indirect Tax Committee, unfortunately has fallen short as far as protecting or showcasing the advantage of this audit is concerned. After the horses have bolted, they have come to shut the gate. Let's see, they may resurrect it, and I am still hopeful with the new leadership which has come in. What are the types of non-mandatory GST audit? One is specific GST review audit, which I've mentioned. And remember, there are books on this. We have written some books. Taxman has a good book on this, which can be referred. The Institute's Technical Guide to GST Audit is a very good book, which we had, authored in the year 2017 for the support of our members. And again, in 2018 and 19, it was revised. That is a very good document. There is also one background material for GST, which is also available, and it has been updated even in the period subsequent to my departure in 2019, which is a good material, and it is free, downloadable. You can put search in the PDF copy, and you'll get a good commentary, I would say. Then there is very important, I told you 40 crores out of the 40 lakh crores per year is the credit taken by people. And even if somebody is missing out 2% of the credit, you're looking at margin of 2.5% in most businesses. And People don't want to make mistakes in ITC. They would like to take it as soon as possible. If there is some difficulty, they would like to get it rectified. All this well within the time limits which have been prescribed. So an ITC audit is normally very value additive, and I would certainly recommend to anybody who is having more than 1 crore credit, it has to be done either by an in-house or an outsourced experts. Internal audit, all of us know, is value additive if we do it properly. You have operational audits now. There are also regular internal audits required by law. In my understanding, any company with more than 50 crores, whether it's a trading company or a manufacturing company or a service company, I think a GST module needs to be plugged in to give tremendous value. Today, everything is information system based. You have a GST system comprising of the GST network, which has a lot of utilities, and we have the various forms which are being populated by them, auto-populated by them, making it easy for compliance. However, those systems need to talk to the systems which are kept by our SSEs. And therefore, a systems audit, procedures audit, possibly by a CISA or a DISA, could be of great value to the SSE. Remember, otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out, and maybe ending up with some disputes after a few years. GST, unlike VAT, is a procedural driven law. A person has to have good understanding of GST concepts, but very good understanding of procedures. There is where I mentioned, unlike VAT, which was an officer driven law, this law is mandated. It tells every step of making a dispute. So anybody cannot simply send a letter, a roving inquiry to collect information. You need not give it at all. So you have to confirm what you need to give to the department, what you need not give, and then take it ahead. That is why a procedures audit can be very important. This will ensure that the SSE also, SSE's officers who are managing the IDT function, especially GST, would know what not to do. This what not to do is very important, because there's no point in providing the gun, the bullets, and the knife in case those two don't work to the trigger-happy officers of the department, some of whom are only looking at extraction. Not all of them are corrupt. There are many good officers, and thanks to that, you are seeing such wonderful numbers. Valuation audits could be important, especially where people deal with related companies or they have a lot of job work. There could be many reasons where valuation would be important. They have a lot of transfers of goods and are dealing with taxable and non-taxable goods and services, then valuation becomes a very important thing. As I had said earlier, claiming an exemption or a classification under a lower rate could be suicidal for many companies. It is not just that somebody else is doing, I'll do it and I will get away. That is an incorrect way of looking at it. GST compliance review. Now that the GST audit is not being signed by professionals, the burden is shifted back to the CFO of the company or the CEO of the company, the person who signs off all the compliances, because he doesn't have a report of a professional to back it up. I am sure almost all the medium sector companies, the MNCs, those who are going to go for IPOs in future, they will ensure that there is a compliance review done of GST every year. In case of mergers, acquisitions, demergers, they may require a due diligence which will certainly cover GST. One area which is certainly going to be what I could say a wonderful service which has to be given speed is the review of GST before the departmental audit. Earlier, because of the mandatory audit, the GST audit by the department was less. You would have seen that it has only started and very less number of companies have got the GST audit notice. One was because it was in the initial stages, two because of pandemic, and three because there was a mandatory audit by professionals, which is most likely going to disappear by 2021 or 2022 at the most. So what will happen? The departmental GST audit is going to be much, much more active. And it is, let me tell you, quite a harrowing experience. You could check up with the companies who used to get central excise audit or a service tax audit. It is, other than in exceptional cases, very costly also. You know, we had when I started practice, we had the Inspector Raj, and then slowly the trusting the SSE movement started, and then it's which were done, but they were done very well. But in the latter part, just before 2017, these audits became a terror, and you had the audit Raj, where I have even heard of crores of rupees of bribe being given for them to go away. And almost every audit ended up with quite a lot of extraction being done to drop the points which were anyway not points. That is sad, but that is because the knowledge of indirect taxes was very low in the Indian industry. A bit of the knowledge of GST more understandable to many. However, the MSME may still be, I would say, less aware of the GST aspects. Now I switch to who are the professionals who can, get into this. One, you should be strategically versatile and agile. That means you have to unlearn some of the old thoughts, because this is not VAT, this is GST. This is not excise, this is GST. There are some aspects of VAT which are there in GST, many aspects of central excise which are there in GST. As far as services are concerned, many aspects of service tax which are applicable. Some custom principles have come in. So I have to unlearn a few things which I knew and relearn and update myself in GST. If I want to, move into this area, remember, most of the opportunities I have talked about have just started unfolding, and you will find many opportunities or the explosion of opportunities in GST coming in 23-24. Can I be future ready? Can I get into research? I start my daily reading of 1 or 2 hours now. Very, very important is, can I embrace innovation, technology? Can I deliver solutions in a faster manner? We have seen in our own office, some of the articles and some of my qualifieds are so good. These youngsters are really smart. And they are making macros, small macros using Excel and reducing our time like anything. For example, for doing a 9C, if we were taking, say in 2019 when we started, if we were taking, say, 5 days, today it takes 20 minutes from us from homegrown solutions. Other than this, we also have other softwares like GST Easy, Zen, etc., with whom we are even collaborating and telling them what to do, through which at a very small cost, maybe 300, 400 rupees per company, we are able to save substantial amounts of time. So therefore, I am not saying we are totally tech savvy, we are not. We have miles to go before we sleep, as was told or advised by Swami Vivekananda. So we are far off, but we have started. There are also knowledge needs, because we need to know the old law, the relevant parts of central excise, the relevant parts of service tax cases, VAT cases, to help the client and our employers to cope with the rapid change which is happening in GST. You know, you have e-invoicing, you have 2A replaced by 2B, or both available, which to use. Lot of solutions in the market. We don't know whether they're tested, not tested. These supporting characteristics, therefore, I need to acquire new knowledge, update the old. Maybe if I have got clients in the SEZ or I'm working with the SEZs, STPIs, I need to specialize in that vertical. Maybe industry specific specialization is required. We have also tried to write books in a couple of areas. We have started with real estate, then textiles, and recently on pharma and healthcare. We are planning on automobiles. Let's see where it goes. We need to get industry specific also, because there are set specific needs of each industry. Maybe the other indirect tax laws like customs, anti-dumping, which is becoming very difficult, because if my cost of raw material goes up, then my industry becomes unviable. I need to be having integrity, because the client does not know. See, where the client also knows and I am just confirming his belief, I would say it is not that onerous. But where the client does not know, he says, sir, I don't know, you are the professional, I am relying on you to deliver. We need to then ensure that we are reliable, we are knowledgeable, we have all the skills to deliver. One more important aspect which has come into GST is now, you know, information can go anywhere. Sometimes we use our laptop and we are able to access the tally which is enabled or the ERP which is enabled. How do I ensure that nothing of that is left on my laptop later? You know, today you have programs which can retrieve what has anytime been saved on your laptop. Also, a personal sense of confidentiality, so that we delete all the non-required mails and the records once the assignment is over. Am I having the professional competence, which all the three institutes have very rightly put? Do what I know only. Do I stray? Okay, no problem. I can somehow manage with giving consultancy to my clients. Having an average or superficial knowledge of GST, please do not do it. For example, if you ask us, just today somebody was asking me, can you help us with this company law problem? And then he said, after that, we also have some income tax problem. I told him very clearly that I do not know either company law or income tax. Our own income tax is being handled by another professional. One of the things which has become very important today is versatility. Can I change my thoughts, change myself, change which we are working? Remember, one of the biggest characteristics of a successful organization is training, and this training has become, for all managers, owners of profession, coaching and mentoring has become the number one criteria for future success. Of course, without knowing the tech and adopting the latest technology, preferably through the mobile, I cannot even imagine the future. However, one thing is human beings can never be replaced, and therefore, do I have the interpersonal skills to attract, retain, and develop talent? I think this is a subject in itself, and I have at least 4 or 5 of our partners going through courses in this particular aspect, because we never learned this at the time when we studied. And it is high time. It is really the high time when professional institutes relook at their, if I were to say, stupid curriculum, which is absolutely irrelevant to today's world, and look at revising it on an urgent basis, maybe by the end of this year, and enable our students to be able to support the industry and trade. Sorry, sometimes I get rhetoric. because I was part of the initiatives in ICAI, and I would say, well, I failed miserably. We also see that the systems now are ensuring that the middleman is not there. Okay, some of the issues which are there, like, the large scale refund frauds which happened, brought back manual refunds into the GST, into the FTP, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time before it again becomes automatic. One of the things which we need to forget, we old timers have never put money into the profession of any significance. We will earn and then we'll invest. Those days are gone. Today, a chartered accountant who gets into practice, it is almost like an entrepreneur. You have to invest time, money, and also the aesthetics. I remember when I started in a 8x5 room on the 3rd floor without lift. A sure shot failure story. If you are starting practice, you need to start with a decent place. May not be very big, but it should be clean, neat, accessible. And maybe a digital library has become something you have to start with even before you go for furniture or people. Today, we need to build up delegation. We can't expect to provide services in all the procedures, and therefore building second level, third level people, very, very important in practice. Or even if I am in a company, I need to see that the person who is the professional needs to keep on updating himself, skill himself to be relevant, and for the mundane routine tasks, either depend on technology or clerical stuff. As far as firms are concerned, I have seen this very commonly, and in our firm also we saw it. Succession planning early is very important. Many firms, old firms, are desperately trying to exit, and they get no valuation at all, because now when the main person is already 55, 60, nobody to pay for a firm where he is not going to be there or she is not going to be there. This is some supporting characteristic which is general, nothing to do with GST. Geographical flexibility, I found, also is very important. We need not think locally. For example, a practitioner in Indore, practitioner in Cochin can serve anybody in Bangalore or even in Dubai. If I know Dubai VAT, why I cannot give a back office support for Dubai VAT? Very much possible. In fact, the ICAI even came up when, under my chairmanship, it came up with a book on Dubai VAT, which became a Bible for a few years. It was there on every officer's table in UAE, and obviously every professional's table who was providing VAT services when VAT was introduced in Dubai. So you are not limited today. Build in diversity in your thought process. It's not through process, it's a thought process. Continuation of firm also, I think the spelling is mistaken. These are all slides prepared by me. Please pardon me for that. There could be many other supporting characteristics. What should be the stages? Get a in-depth knowledge first of GST, get skilled, share and create perception, be on online groups, teach, train, be on seminars, maybe in-house, out, and also for your clients. Remember the Pareto rule. 80% of the results form 20% of the work. Keep an open mind if you wish to get into this area. I am looking at how you can learn GST, understanding the basics as well as the issues, deepening the knowledge and solving in real life. Maybe you'll have to join somebody who is already there in GST. For a year, 2 years, if you are getting into litigation, maybe a longer period. Get the expertise, start serving the employers, focus on understanding their business. Don't give advice without understanding their business. On the job learning is what I have found the best, because once the client is there and you are focused to understanding his business and giving him value, that's the best place, and you will learn tremendously. Many clients are the best teachers, especially the ones who are hard and strict. They are the best teachers. Of course, to learn, it may be qualification dependent. Courses like CA, CMA, etc. already have GST in quite a decent, detailed form. However, maybe in colleges and all, GST is only superficially taught, some basics are taught. Stage 1 and part of stage 2 is covered in a good certificate course. Hiragange Academy has it free. All you have to do is go to the thing, go and do it properly. What do I mean do it properly? Don't start going to topics which you like. Go through the stages. Each of the courses is put in chronological order, starts with the constitutions, legal maxims, etc. So go in that sequence. Levy, after that value, classification, valuation, go in that order. And don't jump to the next course also. When you go for an online learning, whether it is through our course or another paid course or our own paid course, maybe one of the best ways of learning online is keep the latest GST Act and rules in Word for underlining and making short notes. I don't know whether youngsters require. I know you have so many software available. You can make, online notes itself. I cannot do it. And therefore, for people who cannot do it, keep a hard copy to make small slips available wherever you can make short notes and put it into that particular page. Ideally, whatever topic you are going to listen to online, read it up once. Briefly, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, scan it. You know what is the topic, what are the keywords. This actually enhances your learning and your absorption. Make notes during that online session. And if it is an online session, you can even stop it whenever you want and then continue it. Make notes, I would say. For this, I have always suggested in our office, keep an indexed notebook, maybe a 400-page indexed notebook. And in that index notebook, put all the topics which are there, which you want to learn, with sufficient amount of space for adding the learnings in the next 2 years. So you're not going to write in detail. Only what you learn, you are going to write. And that, as you maybe after you have started this wonderful diary, knowledge diary as we call it, it will be such a wonderful reference material. I have seen some stalwarts. One of them I could mention, Mr. Arvind Datar, who practices now in the Supreme Court. When I was going, I had the good opportunity of meeting him in the 1990s in the tribunal at Chennai. I used to see him using this book, which there was hardly any space in the book, and he would write in the sides in small letters. And when I asked him, why don't you take a new book? He said, Madhukar, whatever I learned of excise in my life is there in this notebook. If I have to transcribe it somewhere, it is going to take me maybe 2 or 3 months, and therefore I'm managing with the same notebook. Wonderful concept. Please try it. Also, if it is a live working, online courses also come with live question answer sessions, or a facility to ask questions and get answers, or put it in online forums and specify who needs to answer, who is requested to answer. Maybe out of those 5-6 people, somebody will answer. Ask questions specifically. Listen to the answers from others also, questions of others and the answers thereof. One of the other things which I feel very important is, after the class is over, don't just quit. Spend 15 minutes after the class on what you have learned. Just go through it again. Revise after a week. That means if you have taken up 1 week of learning, at the end of the week, go through the entire notes what you have done. Remember, recorded videos are normally, all learning videos are open for you at least for a couple of months. In our case, it's open for you for quite some time. Post-lockdown, we don't know when lockdown will happen. We have seen a resurgence in Maharashtra and Kerala, maybe end of 2021. My wish is that you flourish and empower in this area. You should have understood the basics as well as practical application of the knowledge. A deeper understanding requires maybe keeping a few commentaries. For sectoral books, FAQs, please see that you buy the latest. Don't take some old books. Old books sometimes can give you the totally wrong answer because the law is developing. Online updates and free answering slides are there. I don't really know which are all of them, but I am in touch with Tax Sutra that does have, and I contribute off and on Tax Guru, CA Club India, etc. Some of our people in our office also contribute on this. Subscribe for credible online resources for continuous learning. I have found GST et al., which is a Tax Sutra product, to be quite good. Be a part of specialized WhatsApp group. What do I mean by this? Specialized WhatsApp. See, there are a lot of WhatsApp group on GST, but there they say good morning, good evening, happy anniversary, and lot of nonsense comes on that. Somebody has put something, he forwards it. These forwards are no use because we don't know the source. Please see that you have a credible person in that group or a few credible people. How will you identify? You can ask how many of the people on this group have done the GST certificate course, whether from the ICAI or otherwise. Maybe if 2 or 3 are there like that, this group can be useful. Attend seminars and study circles in GST. Nowadays, even online course study circles are there. We have a few Akshara and Artha, which are quite powerful. As I had said earlier, without practical exposure, possibly it is difficult to get many aspects. And the period of this practical exposure depends. If I am a student of CA, I'm an article, maybe the 3 years in an indirect tax firm, and maybe 2 more years will make me ready for my own practice. I reckon if you want to do litigation also, then 5 years is needed. If you're not planning on litigation, you're planning on audit, maybe 4 years is enough. And if you're a qualified who is getting into this area, maybe 2 years. If you want to be an expert, remember, expertise means less work, more fees. If you want to be an expert, then you should very, very clearly know and believe that you are going to be lifelong reading and learning. Are you capable of dedicating 1 or 2 hours a day forever till you practice? If so, then get into this area. Let me tell you, it is worth putting that effort. As Robin Sharma says, whenever you put a habit into place, it is difficult in the starting, messy in the middle, and wonderful in the end. So that is what you can get once you have inculcated good habits of learning, reading into your professional life. What you need to also understand is relevant laws, legal maxims. Constitution of India is almost something which is of great depth. Researching and writing analytical articles could be the next stage, from good knowledge to expertise. Speak about it, join debate club. There are many. Read and understand different views on the oft-debated topics. Today, you have so many seminars by wonderful speakers, and I find that time is short to listen to so many experts. But pick and choose and ensure that every week you listen to at least 2-3 hours of experts speak. Online forum answering is also a good place to enhance yourself. Our own writing of articles, graduate to booklets and then books ensures that we become experts. Teaching professionals, industry, and even officers gives us broad-based idea. We know what are the problems which are there, what are the different things which we need to do. With this, I would recommend the following resources. The cbic.gov.in is an updated site, unlike 10 years back. Things are updated very fast. The quality, of course, what could be there is not much to be desired, but at least it's updated. On Hiragangi.com or hiragangiacademy.com, you will find updated articles, updated as of 2020. And there may be some of 2021 also. The Indirect Tax Committee was very active earlier, but you still have enough resources on that, and everything is freely downloadable, which is an advantage. Books in GST Practical Guide Against Spelling Mistake on GST audits, very important, because audit is, in my understanding, for the next 2 years, it would be the one which gives the maximum fees for the GST practitioners. Not litigation will overtake GST audit, I think, in 2023-24. So therefore, your GST audits is going to be there. Large amount of opinion opportunities will come, and maybe if you can look at the sectoral books like real estate, textiles, works contract, I think pharma and healthcare. There may be many more. We are also planning, but we have been a little slow as of now. And compendium of issues and solutions, which I've written with Naveen Kumar. Just pending a few last chapters we have not been able to complete. So should be up and running by the next month, I think. And of course, various online sites, There is a basic and advanced course on Hiragangi Academy, which is totally free. You would like to do it in sequence, first do the basic course, then go for the advanced course. With that, I would like to wish all of you a wonderful GST practice or providing service to your employers, and all the best. Thank you very much.